What up, everyone, and welcome to a breakdown and analysis of the new DAOJO token that's launching on Injective in the next few days. In this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about the release. Without further ado, let's get into it. As you guys know, I've been covering the Injective ecosystem a lot on this channel. We actually have a new exciting release called DAOJO that's launching over the next couple days from none other than the DojoSwap team. Now, this is actually going to be the fourth main token that they've released. They have their main Dojo token, which is their DEX token. They also have Sushi, which is a CW404 token. They then have Baby Dojo, which is a reflection token of Dojo. And then now they have DAOJO, which is going to be part of their whole entire DAO/investment fund. Now, the DojoSwap team has absolutely been killing it, and they have been delivering thing after thing after thing. And the way they're building their economy, I'm very impressed with, and I'll probably be making a video just going over their overall game plan and strategy and why I think that this could be one of the first DEX tokens, Dojo, that ends up not being just a Ponzi. And I think this is possible based on their strategy, and I want to go into that because one of the main fears I have whenever a project is launching a bunch of tokens is eventually the liquidity dries up, you're splitting utility between too many tokens, and it ends up killing the overall ecosystem. But I think in this situation with what they're doing and their overall strategy, it can actually work, and this is why I'm going to need a whole other video just to talk about that. Now, you can already go to the main DojoSwap site and see their Launchpad page, and if you end up wanting to get more information, you can go to their different Medium articles as well as Twitter, but I'm going to go over the main points that you have to know. The launch is officially starting in about 1 day and 3 hours from the timing of this video, and it should actually show the start time when you go onto their site. And this is going to be a 2-day pro rata or oversubscription window where you know the price you're getting is $2 per DAOJO token, and once it gets past this $1.5 million raise, it's going to be completely in Dojo, not Injective, guys, then now all of a sudden it's going to be oversubscribed and a portion of your money is going to get refunded. So let's say $3 million gets sent in and they're only doing a $1.5 million max raise. That means you're only going to be getting 50% of the amount of Dojo USD value that you send in. So if I send in $100 worth of Dojo, I'm only going to get $50 worth of their DAOJO token, and then the rest of the money is going to be refunded. You can actually go to some of their past drops and notice that a lot of these different tokens that they've launched have had massive oversubscriptions, anywhere from a 3 to even 7x oversubscription. And I think this time it's going to be heavily oversubscribed again. Now, the big thing that you have to realize about this specific launch is that you have a Dojo net worth, and your Dojo net worth is actually based on your Sushi or your Baby Dojo holdings. Now, this could be staking or in your wallet or added to some sort of liquidity pool, but you are no longer getting whitelisted based on your Dojo and Injective. Instead, you need to have either Sushi or Baby Dojo. If I have $100 worth of Sushi, for example, that now qualifies me to send $100 worth of the Dojo token into their sale. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing this so much is a lot of people were confused. Hey, I have all these Dojo tokens. Why is my net worth 0? The reason is because you actually need Sushi or Baby Dojo for your net worth, and then the Dojo is just what you're sending in for the sale instead of Injective. Now, what exactly is this DAOJO token? Well, guys, the DAOJO token represents an individual's voting power within the Dojo ecosystem, so essentially it acts as the governance for this actual pool or treasury of money that they're going to have. And what happens is they are having this $1.5 million sale. They're putting a lot of that money towards liquidity for this DAOJO as well as Dojo pair, and then they're also adding another $4.5 million worth of Dojo token and Sushi token and other tokens within their ecosystem to start off this treasury. Now, what's really interesting about DAOJO and this whole entire DAO setup is that it is a rebasing token, and what that means is the supply is constantly dynamic based on the different parameters that they have. So in this situation, the DAOJO supply will increase and there will be new emissions or new supply of DAOJO as the value of the treasury of that DAOJO increases. So for example, guys, let's say that the DAOJO treasury is $1 million. There might be 1 million DAOJO tokens. But now all of a sudden the assets in those treasury double to 2 million. Now all of a sudden the amount of DAOJO tokens also doubles to be equal with the increase of the value of the treasury. So we have to realize that as time goes on, if this treasury is successful, there's going to be constantly new DAOJO tokens to make up for that ownership percentage of that now more valuable asset. In order to earn these DAOJO supply expansions, which is one of the benefits of DAOJO, is you're going to have to be staking it and locking it up. And then as more assets and more revenue goes into the treasury, so will the amount of DAOJO that you now own. They're also saying that you can lay claim to all these different assets that are in the DAO based on the supply of the DAOJO you have. Now, this isn't going to allow you to claim at any time. This is only if they decide to dissolve the DAO, and then you'll be able to claim the ownership or your percentage of all those different assets in the treasury. Once again, they have the voting on the different policies of the future of the Dojo ecosystem, probably things like cutting off a lot of the Dojo emissions that are going to be happening in the future. They've talked about burning upwards of 60% of their tokens, so most likely this is something that would be voted on by the DAO. They're also saying that there's going to be different bribes from different projects that are looking to deepen their liquidity. So maybe they say, hey, we'll give X amount of these tokens in order to get additional liquidity for our actual liquidity pair. And then one of the big things, or two of the final big things, is that they're going to get quality seed investments that normally retail investors don't get access to. We've already seen that they're in talks with Black Panther in order to get a seed round investment. So most likely they'll get into these different private rounds and VCs based on the amount of exposure that they're able to provide for these projects. And then those profits are gained within the DAO. And then you also get direct exposure and diversified exposure to all the different Dojo assets in the ecosystem, because this is almost like a collective pot of value rather than you owning each individual thing. Now, I've already went in depth about how this DAOJO is going to work. To summarize once again, imagine a big treasury. You have all these assets in there. They're putting a lot of their own assets in there. People vote on different plays, opportunities, different governance. And as the value of that treasury goes up through these different seed investments, transactions, whatever the case is that I'm about to go over, now all of a sudden there's more DAOJO tokens that come out for those staking their DAOJO. And then you're able to own a larger percentage of this actual pool, as well as gain some different yields on that. Now, the reason that they actually want to do this is because if they can own their own liquidity on the protocol through the DAO, now all of a sudden they don't have to reward or incentivize people to provide liquidity as much. If you think about it, guys, and this will be in a separate video, right now in a decentralized exchange, they need to incentivize people to provide liquidity on their DEX in order for there not to be a lot of impermanent loss or trading fees when people are trying to swap between these different pairs. But the way that they're incentivizing it for the most part is by giving out Dojo tokens or Dojo emissions, which negatively affects the price. Now, what's interesting is if they actually own their own liquidity, they no longer need to incentivize these different pairs. And when they do that, they can constantly drop down the amount of Dojo that's being emitted. And by doing that, that should increase the price of the actual token. So one of the big things that they want to do to hit full sustainability and not constantly need to be printing tokens is to actually own the liquidity itself, or they have so much volume similar to Uniswap where all these different trading fees, that 0.3% on all these different liquidity pool pairs, is high enough where people are happy with that yield without needing an additional token. So this is one of the main reasons that they want to do this. And they also want to have a centralized area where they can pool these funds together in order to get into different investment opportunities out there, such as these different seed investments. The team now talks about the 5 different main revenue streams that are going to be going towards this DAO to hopefully make it more profitable and get more Dojo assets out of circulation. The first way that they plan on making money is by selling bonds to procure this protocol owned liquidity. So someone can come in, they can surrender their assets. For example, I can surrender my sushi, and now all of a sudden I get this DAOJO in exchange to capture this rebasing supply expansion as more and more assets get added to this pool. Now what happens is when this bond ends, which it might be a 5-day bond, a 10-day bond, whatever the different timeframes are, you're then going to be able to get back your asset or your value. And a lot of times this might come in the form of Dojo and Injective LP rather than the sushi that you originally did. So what they're saying saying is that this is actually acquiring this different dojo and this different liquidity, locking it up, exchanging it for this DAOJO that people are hopefully going to be making some money on. And then eventually it goes back to that individual when their bond ends, but in the form of this Injective and Dojo liquidity. They also talk about the different investment operations that they're going to do, such as these different seed rounds from Black, or maybe buying up some of these different ecosystem tokens such as Nanja, Baby Dojo, Dojo, and I'm sure a lot of these different things are going to be voted on. They're also talking about the different staking operations, so being able to earn a yield from staking these different tokens. They're also going to be taking all of the trading fees from their platform, which a lot of times they're averaging over $15,000, $20,000 US profit in trading fees per day, and putting it back into this ecosystem to buy back and burn some of these tokens. And then they're also making money from their liquid staking as well as validator fees, which once again are going to be buying these different tokens and adding it back to the DAO. The last thing that I want to bring up is some of the benefits that they're saying. They're saying hopefully this sparks a DeFi fever on Injective. It's saying that this DAOJO is going to acquire a lot of these dojo assets. They're saying that this is going to have a huge treasury, and by extension, this could lead to longer term profits, especially if they're able to access different opportunities. It allows you to own the basket of the dojo ecosystem with one token. And then on top of that, they talk about some of this different seeds and how it's a toolkit that they need for their next steps of the vision that they haven't brought up yet or that I know of. The final thing that you have to know is that for this DAOJO token, 95% of this is going to be issued from this sale, and then the remaining 5% is going to be airdropped to people that were having Sushi or Baby Dojo. And I think this was already a couple weeks ago, so you've missed out on that airdrop if you didn't already have those tokens. One thing to note here is that the supply is at 100% right when it releases, but because of that rebasing mechanism, as the value of this DAOJO increases, so will the amount of DAOJO tokens that are being emitted. So just keep that in mind. Even though 100% of the supply is going to be out, there's going to be constantly new supply coming in as this treasury increases in value. Because of this news and because of this release, and because a lot of these Launchpad sales have done so well and have been so oversubscribed on Dojo, after they had announced the Medium article of the sale, both Dojo and Sushi have gone on pretty big runs. I think after Hydro released, Dojo went all the way down to about 0.014, which I actually caught the bottom of that. And now it's been going on a pretty big run over the past several days, all the way to 0.023. And even with Sushi, it was around $800 just a few days ago. And now it's at around $1,200. And it went all the way up to $1,350 because people are trying to get the whitelist for this actual token sale. Now, Baby Dojo itself has pretty much maintained at the same price. But the reason why I don't necessarily recommend buying Baby Dojo for this sale is because you have both an 8% buying fee and an 8% selling fee when you go to actually use this Baby Dojo. So off rip, if you were just trying to use this as a whitelist token, you're going to be down 16% before you even send a penny into this Launchpad. So what are my personal thoughts on DAOJO? What are my plans and strategies? Well, overall, I'm pretty interested in what they're doing here. At first, I was like, I can't believe they're making another token. This is the fourth token. They've been only out for a couple months, and now even more utilities are going away from Dojo into this new DAOJO token. But the more that I've been thinking about what they're doing and how they're setting this up, the more that I actually see and understand the vision of what they're trying to achieve. A lot of times, like I said earlier in this video, whenever you have a token launching too much stuff, I'm like staying away because I think this is just like a Ponzi that's eventually going to burst. But I think that this DAOJO is actually a great idea for them to do. And I think the fact that they're adding $4.5 million worth of their own assets into this treasury when they're only charging $1.5 million for this sale is a pretty great deal for people that are getting involved, in my opinion. Because right now we're buying this token at a $1.5 million FDV, but the actual treasury is worth 4 times that, or about $6 million off rip. Now, originally I thought that we would be able to lay claim whenever we wanted and we would buy this token, and now all of a sudden, as soon as the token goes live, we could go to the treasury, withdraw our portion, and now all of a sudden be at a 4x automatically. But that isn't the case. I actually reached out to the team and they said this isn't possible. This is only going to be possible if they decide to end the DAO, and then you can claim your rewards. But what they're instead going to do is they're going to be using these different assets and the money they have to essentially set a backing price or a floor for their DAOJO token. So if the token ever goes too low, they're going to be using some of these assets to actually buy back that token. I don't currently know what that actual backing price is going to be. If you want my full opinion and analysis of how I think this token is going going to do and my strategy, join our Discord in the description, open up a support ticket and ask for a trial pass. In our Discord, we talk about all these different plays and opportunities, and we have a lot of deep dived opinions of what to actually do, and a lot of people are having conversations about what they're personally going to do as well. Overall, pretty interesting launch. I am personally going to be sending in some money to this DAOJO token. I'm excited to see how this fourth project goes, and as always guys, do your own research. I hope this video helped you, and I'll catch y'all later.